Aatf was created to ensure that we have access to those technologies, some of them being very protected by intellectual properties, and make them available to that farmer who is not able to afford the full price of the innovation. So we were created to be the broker in favor of the farmer. After 20 years, our objective and our vision that through improvement of technology and having it accessible to the farmer, we can indeed unlock the potential of the agricultural sector and improve the livelihood, and not only the livelihood, but even the economic status of the farmer. We also specialize in transferring those innovations to the farmer. That is our effort. Build the capacity of the farmer so that he or she can use that potential of the technology in the appropriate way.
Agriculture is extremely important for any nation in the world for several reasons. It is the single economic sector that touches on so many lives, so many people, and not just in one place, but often across, large sections, if not entire section of a country. It creates jobs, but also it's helped create jobs outside of agriculture.
Agriculture is practiced in Africa by 40% in average of Africans, but it goes high in rural area. 70% of our rural population is involved in agriculture. And when you consider all the aspects linked to agriculture, including those agro-dealers, those selling pesticides, etc., 80% of Africans are involved in agriculture. The other issue is on the seed. The material that in African agriculture that we use is normally grains that we recycle. We don't have certified seed, have not yet reached 20% penetration in agriculture. You can understand that it is a serious problem when you know that good seed is a key factor to have good result at the end of the day. Currently, agriculture contributes 15% of GDP, but it can do more. Any positive change happening in agriculture will certainly translate into the improvement of the socio-economic situation of those involved in those value chains.
The basis for the emphasis on intellectual property was the fact that there were proprietary technology which can only be accessed through licensing. And that licensing had to meet the requirements of the intellectual property boundaries that were set by the owners of the technology. I was very, very fortunate in meeting with people from seed companies, owners of proprietary technology, who were very willing and open to talk about what they had in their store, even though it was not free, but walked me through the pathway of how to have access to this for free. We've had to focus on problems that could not be easily solved by conventional breeding and conventional approaches. And so we were able to look at a broad range of production challenges of primary staple crops. So there has to be focus, and the focus had to be measured in terms of progress, in terms of advances, and in terms of how strong the partnerships that we were attempting to form became established. Over the 20 years, it is nice to see that one, steady progress has been made. Two, the organization has met its purpose of being African-owned and African-led, which was a very important boundary principle, founding principle of the organization.
I joined Aatf in 2005. That makes it close to 19 years. At the time I joined Aatf, I think there were about 3 senior staff. At that time, Aatf was fairly small with 9 staff. Now you may wish to know that that number has grown more than 5 times. And the Aatf offices are here in Kenya, where it's headquartered, and a regional office in Abuja, Nigeria. The first decade captures the formative years of Aatf. The first 5 years were generally characterized by investments, steady investment from development partners. We had 3 development partners, namely the Rockefeller Foundation, the USAID, and DFID, who made a commitment of investment in what Aatf was going to do. As we moved on then to strategize on how to bring the vision of an Africa-based and Africa-led organization that Aatf had been conceptualized to be. The expansion of Aatf, I would say, has been steady. From inception, when it was launched here in Kenya, starting off, one can say, in one country, we've seen a steady expansion to 24 plus countries.
Aatf does a very good job of developing technologies that are able to deal with challenges that farmers are facing. Aatf deliberately moved into this area of facilitating the creation of an enabling environment with the understanding that without the right policies, laws, structures, strategies, guidelines, and therefore we come in to facilitate variety release processes through policy interventions so that we may be able to shorten the time it takes to release varieties. The other important thing is that we have so many technologies across Africa that can be grown across several agroecological zones. But the challenge is that because of the national boundaries and because of the specific rules that each country has set up, it becomes difficult to move a variety from one country to another. So what we have done to address that issue is supporting regional harmonization of seed policy and laws. What regional harmonization does is that you bring countries together, for example, within the COMESA region, the ECOWAS region, the East African Community region, and countries within one particular bloc subscribe to the regionally harmonized guidelines such that varieties that have been released in one country can be sold in many other countries within the same regional economic bloc. What that does is that it shortens the time that we need to release varieties in each country. For example, if it takes maybe 3 years to release a variety in one country, If you have to release it in 10 countries, it will take 30 years. But with regional harmonization, once it is released in just 2 countries, you are able to sell it across all the other countries. Through policy reforms, and now we have the African Continental Free Trade Area, we've been supporting countries to subscribe to the African Continental Free Trade Area, such that the produce, agricultural produce generated from different countries can be traded at regional level. And that, of course, opens markets to farmers in different parts of the continent.
What makes me really, really proud is Aatf's involvement in the delivery of what we call the pod borer resistant cowpea. Cowpea that is resistant to insect pests. At the inception of Aatf, this quest to deliver insect-resistant cowpea was just a concept. PBR-resistant cowpea is a product. It's a food that is eaten to get into people's stomachs. So you can see changing from a concept to a product that people can live with, a product that can change people's quest for food security.
Ina noma abubuwa da yawa. Na farko dai nikan noma dawa, nikan noma masara, har gyada ma nikan noma waken soya. Kuma ana nan nikan noma wake. To amma yanzu na fi ba wake ƙarfi. Ina shuka wake kala-kala, akwai kanannado, akwai ɗan misira, akwai ɗan shika, kala-kala da wake iri-iri wanda ni nake nomawa. Bambancin kuma da na hango a wannan PBR ba ɗan kaɗan ba tsakanin shi da waɗancan. Kwatancin ma nesa ne ba ɗan kaɗan ba. Ga ko dalili, wancan muna kashe kuɗi da yawa wajen sayan magunguna. In ma ka yi amfani da wannan magani kaga alaman bai maka ba, dole ka sake canza wani don ka samu ka cimma nasara a game da abin da kake so a waken nan. To ana nan don sun gaya mana sunan shi, PBR sunan shi. Ina da farin jiki kuma hancin shi baki ne. To ana nan na fara noma shi kaɗan, ban dai bari irin yayi gudu a hannuna ba. To wani lokaci ne babu daman kai ka ce ga wani abu, ga wani wake wanda kai kake shuka, za a tambaye ka ina ka same shi. Ko to muna yin bakin kokarin mu. Sai aka ce an saki ma manoma wannan wake, an ba su damun su noma. To tun kamar shekara 5 nan kenan baya. To tun daga nan na faɗaɗa noman wake na. Kusan a ƙarshe ma duka waken da nake nomawa, wallahi na sake su saboda ingancin wannan shi na rike nake amfani da shi.
The technical team drives all the, if I may use the word, technical elements in a compact form. And I like to tell people just connect with agriculture as food. But agriculture is science, it's technology, it's about innovation. So the technical team is multidisciplinary in a way. And we have people who are in agriculture and outside agriculture. They drive all that process. So you have the breeder, you have the geneticist, you have the entomologist, you have the agronomist, and of course, we have people who are in the ICT realm, all right, digital technologies. They all play a key role. We have to link up with experts who may not be in agriculture, and we are looking at the people we serve as entrepreneurs, and that's the direction to go. The technical team must represent exactly that.
The journey of Wema to Teller has been a very exciting journey. We started the project in 2008 and I joined in 2009. The whole idea is solving the problem that farmers are facing, problem of drought. Drought is so important, stress affecting maize. And maize in Africa is such an important crop and a food security crop for more than 300 million people. But maize also is one of the cereal crops that is most sensitive to drought. Africa loses 17 to 25% of the maize, annual maize, which is equivalent to 20 million tons of maize annually to drought. As we were addressing the problem of this insect pest with the drought, a new bug came to Africa from the Americas in 2016, which they call fall armyworm. This is a ravaging pest. It feeds on maize and you can lose the whole crop. So the idea is, how do we help African farmers to resolve this twin problem of drought and insect pests? So in 2018, to address the problem, Aatf set up a partnership to develop drought-tolerant and insect-protected maize to be able to solve the problem. In developing this drought-tolerant and insect-protected maize, we decided to use the best approaches out there, scientific approaches in breeding. Right now, the product that I say we have developed that are 120 drought-tolerant, we call them drought tego. Tego simply means maize that is shielded from drought. So we are saying with genetic engineering, within 3 to 4 years, you can get additional 8 to 10%. Wema Teller has been described as the most successful public-private partnership project for agricultural research in the tropical world by external evaluators in 2015. So it shows that PPP works, PPP can be successful, but you have to have people to make it work. And Aatf is a very good example of an organization that you can go to and learn how a PPP is being done.
CIMMYT is International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center with its headquarters in Mexico, but it has offices all across the world, especially in Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, and Asia. So CIMMYT's imprint is mainly on maize and wheat improvement across the global south. CIMMYT is fortunate to have this very close bond, or strong partnership with African Agricultural Technology Foundation, or AATF, over the past several years, perhaps ever since its inception, in dealing with many challenges related to African agriculture by bringing in genetic innovations as well as agricultural practices that contribute to sustainable agricultural intensification. For instance, our partnership under the WEMA project, the Water Efficient Maize for Africa project, presently called as the TELA project, and have a tremendous contribution to make in transforming the climate resilience of smallholders in Africa. CIMMYT, together with African Agriculture Technology Foundation, now we are focusing on two different types of solution. One solution is to develop BT maize, which can offer resistance not only to stem borers, but also to the fall armyworm. The other solution which CIMMYT has adopted is screening our large array of germplasm we have for native genetic resistance to fall armyworm. And we are successful in developing and deploying 3 fall armyworm tolerant hybrids in Kenya, Malawi, South Sudan, and Zambia. And several other countries are now going to release these fall armyworm tolerant hybrids across Sub-Saharan Africa. I'm confident that CIMMYT, together with the AATF and partners in countries across Africa, can bring this transformation in the years to come.
IAR is a research Agricultural Research Institute, established in 1922 by the then colonial administration as the research arm of the Department of Agriculture of the defunct Northern Nigerian government. Over the years, it had changed in its role from an all-encompassing research institute for both livestock and crops to now only restricted to about 9 crops for genetic improvement mandate. And then in addition to that, IAR conducts research into the science and engineering of irrigation, selecting for not only approach, but what crops can be grown economically in the dry season. Nigeria is the largest producer of cowpea in the world. Yes, that may sound good, but unfortunately we are the largest consumer of cowpeas also. And so therefore annually we are left with a national demand deficit of around 500,000 tons, which we have to make up from neighboring countries if it is there. Otherwise, this latent demand is always there. And I believe that should you lower the cost of the cowpea grain, the demand for consumption will even shoot. Now, our main challenge is to make available within the shortest possible time enough seed that can go around. So the new variety of cowpea, that is SMP7, what makes it tick is that it doesn't need much insecticide spray. Other non-pod borer varieties of cowpea, even though they may have good yield potential, but farmers have to invest in chemical insecticide protection, spraying up to 80 times or 10 times, depending on where you are. The more moist the ecology is, the more of the frequency of the spray is required. The drier places, you may have to spray about 5 to 6 times before you will get a very excellent crop of cowpea. But this new variety, because it is resistant to an insect, that pod borer, the pod borer, it's an insect that occupies the phenology of cowpea. That is, from the onset of reproductive phase up to when the pod is theirs. Throughout that range, the pod borer devastates cowpea. That is why if you control this very destructive insect, you have taken care of the larger part of the pest requirement of cowpea.
Africa Rice was established to actually work on improving the rice sector in general, obviously with a specific focus on improving production. And over the years, we worked on, improving the rice value chain. Through research is actually delivering results that would solve some of the challenges that we face within these different segments of the chain. So we deliver scientific results on policies, on technologies and innovations, on methodologies and practices. And we also develop capacity, that is to actually sustain the efforts that we're making in terms of improving the rice sector. Over these years, what we have noticed is that these technologies and innovations that we have delivered have been able to bring roughly about 15 million people out of poverty in Africa. Whilst we're developing these varieties, these are genetic resources that need to be harnessed and to be kept for the future generation. When we talk about the future of agriculture and how it will benefit the population, we need to do more. And right now we're talking about transformation of the agricultural sector. And that is very, very important. I mean, a compelling transformation of the agricultural sector. And what this would mean to me, and from my observation and what's happening, is that we need to build this transformation on partnerships and cooperations.
I've been working on rice for over 20 years. And at Aatf, we try to address the basic challenges that we have in the rice value chain. The productivity in Africa is about 2 tons per hectare, when globally we're already getting over 4.5 tons average per hectare. So ATF brought in the hybrid rice technology, which help to address the yield component. Actually, hybrid rice is when you bring 2 parents together to produce seed that can give you a better product than the 2 parents that you have brought together. This is called hybrid vigor or heterosis. A good example is that the average yield of rice in Kenya is 4 tons per hectare. And when we compare the hybrid we have developed with the yield of the best commercial inbred, we are getting a yield advantage of more than 2 tons per hectare. And in the process of developing this technology, we have been able to release nothing less than, with our partners, nothing less than 10 to 11 hybrid in Kenya. And when we look at what our partners have released across Africa, we already have over 15 high-yielding, well-adapted, and good grain quality of over 10 tons under irrigation and yield of over 7 tons under rainfall. The pioneering work of ATF have encouraged all of them to come in. And as a result of that, we've brought all these partners together to form what we call the Alliance for Hybrid Rice in Africa.
I think we have been able to create a platform for dialogue on agricultural technologies and enable countries, enable regional and continental organizations to understand that the big aspiration of our head of states to transform agriculture into a vital sector in our sustainable economic development cannot be achieved without technologies.
OFAB was created in 2006 in response to the need for an enabling environment that would help to commercialize agriculture biotechnologies on the continent. To date, we only have 30% of African countries with functional biosafety framework. The misconceptions, the propaganda, and myths around biotechnology are also rising, and therefore there was need to come up with a project, an initiative that goes out there to educate and transfer information on biotechnologies from a science perspective, but in a manner that is easily digestible by everyday man. Over the years is that we've been able to change the perceptions that people have around biotechnology, because we've always been there on point to provide the correct information on agriculture biotechnologies and answer their questions around modern technology, including GMOs. People are looking forward to hearing the correct information about GMOs and other biotechnologies from OFAB. I think that's a huge success. We've been able to accompany the commercialization of different biotechnology agricultural products in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in Nigeria. We've been on the ground to support PBR cowpea, which is one of their main food crops. And on the other hand, I would also want to recognize the role of farmers, because if you're doing anything for agriculture, you need to have farmers at the heart of your design of the project. And I think farmers have been very critical in providing us the feedback as to what they want in terms of technologies, but also when it comes to evaluating or giving us feedback as to whether what we're doing is making a difference on the ground. In all the countries that OFAB has been working, we've collaborated with government because we believe in sustainability. And whatever we're going to do, it only gets to be sustainable, it only gets to be implemented if government has support. So we've enjoyed government support in all countries that we are as OFAB, but largely also in all the 24 countries that AATF is in. Our collaboration with government is extremely key.
ISA is an acronym for the International Service for the Acquisition of Agribiotech Applications, and our main mandate and role in Africa has been knowledge sharing on all aspects of crop and animal biotechnology, communication support, and policy advocacy. And these are areas where we have partnered very well. In ISA, our main mandate is knowledge sharing on all aspects of crop and animal biotechnology and that we do through packaging of knowledge products, building the communication support for different actors in the biotechnology space in Africa, and also conducting policy advocacy to ensure that we have an enabling environment for biotechnology where farmers can benefit. We can have awareness creation based on facts, based on accurate information, and also where stakeholders feel that they can convene and learn about developments in agricultural biotechnology. I have many joys to share. First, let me share the joy of the partnership with AATF, that through the collaboration we have had, we've seen, for example, the OFAB Kenya chapter, the pioneer chapter, growing, and also other chapters coming up. We have now 10 chapters of OFAB that have used the model that we developed when we pioneered the OFAB Kenya chapter. My other joy is seeing the farmers now in Africa accessing biotech seeds. We have already BT cotton in Kenya and other countries, Ethiopia, Malawi, Nigeria, that have access to BT cotton seed. The joy of seeing that farmer planting BT cotton crop finally is such a joy to me. There are quite a number of challenges, especially working with the farmers. One of them is the issue of language. We have the scientists and the other developers who use very technical language. And so for the ISA and AATF partnership, we've really tried to break down that technical jargon into simple language through the awareness creation platforms that we have created. Number two, the problem of building trust with the small-scale farmers. You recall there's a lot of misinformation. Farmers have been misinformed a lot about this technology.
One of the things that make me to be proud to be part of AATF is the quality AATF have to be looking into technologies that have been developed and are sitting on the shelf, which could have been useful to the farmers. And AATF goes in there, fine-tune the development, adapt it to the various needs of African farmers based on the need, and use it to create impact on ground. And a good example is the hybrid rice technology we're talking about.
The thing that has made me proud working with AATF is the team effort and also the commitment that is shown by the team. If I can give an example, during the COVID period, AATF didn't stop working. We were working from home, but we still gave our 100% when it comes to doing the job. I think there's no one who can say that they felt a gap.
What is it that AATF has done in the last 20 years? By the time I joined AATF was exploring re-innovative technologies, an integrated combined approach. You develop a product to one approach, you proceed it with a second one, which you overlay. It's an overlay, and you see a gradual improvement that interconnects the different approaches you have explored. You see a momentum, you see increase, you see the genetic gain in that process. That is what you do when you use different partners with different capacities.
The partnership aspect is key for AATF's implementation model, but also for the future. So we are as strong as our partners in terms of their implementation capacity and how sustainable they are, and the access to knowledge and technical know-how. So that's a key role that we play in terms of building implementation partners' capacity, but also partnerships in terms of governments, other players, private sector players, and of course funding partners. So PPPs is really our bread and butter and really the model. And public-private partnerships is really important for technology transfer and getting technologies to smallholder farmers. There's a whole system approach that's needed, and both from technology, access and adoption, but also in terms of the regulatory aspects and also the commercialization and the private sector involvement. And that's at multiple levels, both at the country level, but also at the African level, the continent, and also internationally. So we bring all those pieces together and become sort of the center of those relationships to make sure that they actually bring the technology transfer aspects forward.
AATF has managed to be an interlocutor at global level. When a global partner, a private or a governmental organization is interested in transferring technologies for different reasons, they can be social reasons. The right partner on the African continent is AATF, because we have proven that we can do that, and that we are not dwelling in reinventing the wheel or in searching. No, it is not that research for research. We transfer, we empower, we create prosperity with the innovations that are around across the world.
The Gates Foundation's agricultural strategy is really about. We're a philanthropy that fund good grantees, such as AATF or CIMMYT or the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture or the Ethiopian Institute for Agricultural Research or hundreds of other partners who share a vision of inclusive agricultural transformation in Africa. And that's what we're about, trying to empower smallholder farmers to improve their productivity, to improve their families' nutrition, to empower women to really improve livelihoods. So we developed a good relationship with people working at AATF, with the set of executive directors that have led the organization over the years. And then we've expanded our cooperation into other investments alongside AATF, such as the Open Forum for Agricultural Biotechnology. We've also co-invested in a program to develop hybrid rice for Africa. And then more recently, we've jumped in to provide support for the deployment of genetically modified pod borer-resistant cowpea in Nigeria. And we're providing support alongside our colleagues in the donor community, USAID, and supporting that program in terms of improving the seed system so it can make seeds of the improved cowpea available to more farmers. So there's great hope that over the next year or two, we're going to see the actual marketing and distribution of the seeds that are going to really help smallholder farmers protect their harvests and improve their productivities and hopefully their livelihoods. And then under the leadership of AATF, with its strong regulatory capacity, is somewhat unique in Africa. I think no other organization has the same level of expertise in biosafety issues and in dealing with regulatory issues as AATF. Found that AATF has been a wonderful partner on the continent in pulling together these programs and managing them for good effect. And so we're very proud to continue to support AATF. Now it's going on their 20th anniversary, so we're happy that we're sort of part of the story alongside AATF.
Bayer supports AATF actually through the working in a partnership. It's really a collaboration of equals working together to say we have clear objectives, we have clear targets of what we're trying to do, milestones and accountability, and each of us is working on implementing and driving those plans forward and making sure that we're being held accountable for making the progress and seeing the success of the technology getting to the smallholder farmers. So our role is really to bring the strengths that we have as a private sector and combine that with the knowledge that AATF and the other partners have of how to operate in each country in Africa where we operate and be most effective of getting the success in the project. Some of the outcomes from the partnership with the AATF has been that we've really made progress on getting regulatory capacity built to approve the GMO traits. We've also been able to develop better hybrids with base germplasm, bringing together germplasm from Bayer and also the CIMMYT and the NARS to create new hybrids that perform better. So the base germplasm is there, and then we have the traits integrated into those better hybrids. So it's better products, systems to be able to go through the regulatory process and get them approved, and then a process of working with the seed companies where we're able to get them on board and understanding how do we produce the hybrids in the country and get them delivered to the farmers. So my vision for agricultural growth in Africa is really thinking about a holistic approach of regenerative agriculture where we improve all of the different aspects of this. Seed is one really important part of what we do, and when you improve the seed, then you give farmers a really good reason to also think about improving the agronomics. And so you're producing food in a more environmentally friendly, sustainable way, and just trying to make the world a better place, actually, through agriculture.
So we work with seed companies. We started in 2017. We started with just a handful of seed companies. We're now dealing with 68 seed companies across 12 countries in East and Southern Africa. We're headquartered in Kenya. We've got another operation in Zambia, just outside Lusaka, and a smaller operation in South Africa. The thing AATF are great at is identifying technologies wherever they may well be in the world and looking the ones that fit the African context and then bringing them into the African environment. And where we fit in that whole chain is that we're like an implementation partner, if you like. So the technology's been identified, it's been brought to the market, but to get traction, you've got to have some sustainable commercial activity going on so farmers can buy the hybrid seed every year from their seed company, and that means the seed company has to be able to buy their foundation seed or their early generation seed from us every year to keep that production chain moving so the farmers ultimately benefit. I mean, what we're looking to achieve is to keep growing, to carry on supplying seed companies with the foundation seed, the early generation seed that they need to be able to grow their businesses.
NBMA is an acronym for National Biosafety Management Agency, and it's a regulatory body in Nigeria that regulates all those who are practicing modern agri-biotechnology. We have come into existence by the NBMA Act of 2015, and this was, however, amended in 2019 to accommodate new trends in modern biotechnology, and we have made room for more innovations because we know there's going to be more innovations coming up in the area of modern biotechnology. We have been able to regulate about maybe 8 higher institutions who practice modern biotechnology, but we'll give it to AATF. We have regulations, we have guidelines, we have processes, we have standard operating procedures, and they have been sticking to this, and they have made our work effective, better, because they adhere to the principles, to the processes that ought to be as they practice modern biotechnology. Genetic modifications that we can apply helps us to make sure that there is increased productivity, and also it brings about nutrition, like you earlier said, and also to make sure that our people are empowered. It brings about jobs, it brings about confidence in the people, and the farmers go back home with more money in their pockets, and the people are happy, and therefore there's more development in Africa. When I look at the future of GM in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole, I believe it should be on the bedrock of safety in all areas. And when I talk of safety in all areas, I'm talking about the human life, I'm talking about biodiversity, which encompasses animal life, plant life, and the environment. These are very, very key for the future, for the hope of the Africans as concerning GM.
Tulipanda varieties 14 na zimefanya vizuri sana kwa sababu zilipandwa late na zikafanya vizuri. Alafu hizi varieties kuna zingine ambayo hata naweza penda ni pande siku nyingine. Hapo mbeleni nilikuwa nikitumia hii inaitwa pundamlia na siwezi sema ilikuwa nafanya mbaya sana. Ilikuwa nafanya vizuri, lakini sasa ile tofauti ile iko kama iko mvua mingi pundamlia inaosa sana kwa shamba. Sasa nimeonelea afadhali nipande hii hata kama iko mvua mingi haiwezi ikaosha kwa shamba. Majirani wamezipenda hizi varieties mbili kwa sababu waliona kama nilipanda hapa late sana. Lakini wameona hizo variety mbili zimefanya vizuri sana. Hapo mbele kidogo nilikuwa napanda pundamlia. Na pundamlia nilikuwa nikipanda eka moja napata magunia 12. 2 ilikuwa imeoza. Sasa nimeona hii variety mbili nimesema hapa ni vizuri nitapata mingi sana kwa sababu haziosi kwa shamba.
National Agricultural Seed Council, before now, was called National Seed Service. It used to be a unit under the Federal Department of Agriculture of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security today. The seed sector was predominantly dominated by the public sector. Over time, there's that desire need for private sector participation. The government, in its wisdom, decided to support that organization, National Seed Service, give it a high level, some level of autonomy so that it can function with minimal bureaucracy. One of our advisory roles is to ensure the changing patterns of demand by the market or farmers. So in coordination, it's our duty for us to map which variety goes to where and what part. The certification and quality control of seeds from the field, of course, but when you are sourcing your planting materials, it is the business of National Agricultural Seed Council to know the source of your parental materials. To a large extent, we're also deeply involved in the West African seed issues because we have harmonized seed rules, which Nigeria play a great role. Part of the rules says all seeds in the sub-region must undergo compulsory certification that is aimed at protecting the farmer. We have a lot of relationship and partnership that supports some of these systems apart from government. Aatf has been a very long and tested and reliable partner. They supported us because in the area of technology development, we enjoyed a lot of training opportunities, particularly in new areas, new frontiers in the seed industry. So the moment a product, particularly seed, if it is modified and it has passed all these processes and we are sure it's safe, then it's Seed Council that has the responsibility of taking it to the market. That is commercialization. And Aatf has been a very, very good supporter in that, in terms of we've enjoyed trading both locally and even outside the country to see how other people does it and exposures to workshops and seminars to guarantee securities and safety of some of these products.
Aatf wakati tumekutana ni mwaka wa 2017 mpaka sahi. Mbegu yenye tulipokea mara ya kwanza tukianza na Aatf ilikuwa ni WE1101. Tukaipanda kwa shamba 2 acres ambapo ilifanya vizuri sana. Tukiangalia mavuno yenye litoka hapo ilikuwa magunia 42. Na kwa hiyo shamba yenye tulipanda tukianza kuangalia na mahindi aina nyingine yenye napandwa, unaona ya kwamba ilikuwa inatoa kama ni mahindi mingi sana, ilikuwa gunia 30 hadi 32. Lakini baada ya kutumia hii mbegu naona ya kwamba mavuno iliweza kuongezeka. Na kando na hiyo ya kuongeza mavuno ni kwamba ukiangalia mahindi ya WE1101 ni kwamba wadudu hawasumbui sana ukiangalia na mahindi yenye tulikuwa tunapanda huko nyuma. ni kwamba wakati iko shambani kuna fall armyworm inashika mahindi sana, lakini hiyo uzuri yake ni kwamba fall armyworm huwezi pika dawa mara 2-3 ndio umalize. Kama hiyo mahindi yenye tulipanda watu walikuwa wanapika dawa mara 2-3-4, lakini sisi tulipika dawa mara 1. Na hiyo mahindi mpaka ikafikia wakati wa kuvuna. Lakini challenge kubwa yenye tumekuwa nayo na wakulima pia ni kwamba ukitafuta hiyo mbegu ya WE1101 kuipata kwa maduka inakuwa ngumu. Unajua wakati unalima tunasema tunafanya kilimo biashara. Sio kulima tu kwa sababu watu wengi wanalima. Na wakati tunasema mavuno imeongezeka kwa shamba, kuna wenye wako na watoto shuleni sahi, na kuna shule zinakubali hata upeleke mahindi. Na wakati umepeleka hiyo mahindi kwa shule, hautabaki ukiwa na njaa. So kama mimi personally niko na watoto saizi kwa shule, ambapo mwaka jana niliweza kupeleka mahindi gunia 58. Na ikanisaidia mtoto hakuzwa shule hata siku moja. Na pia ukiangalia familia pia hakuna siku chakula imekosa. Jambo lenye naweza kuambia wakulima wenzangu ni kwamba hii kazi ya mahindi yenye tunapanda kama ya 1101 ni mahindi mzuri, na tukiipanda na tuitunze vizuri utaona ya kwamba itaweza kuongeza mazao, na ikiongeza mazao unajua ya kwamba hiyo ni pesa inaingia na tutaweza kujisaidia katika maisha yetu.
Aatf is primarily a trusted arrangement for which licensed technologies can be made accessible to small-scale farmers in Africa. And IAR is looking for such technologies to leverage on to increase the productivity of our crops, for example, cowpea. So Aatf has been very effective in doing that, getting funds for IAR, and also even attracting additional partners that provided their own other expertise, additional expertise in addition to the technology. The technology is one thing, but the attendant science also sometimes will be required to do it. So Aatf has been very good in bringing together partners and also making it easier for us to access technology.
Aatf naletea sisi mbegu na mawaidha tunatumia kwa shamba. 2020 tulipata mbegu, tulijaribu kupanda na kukompea na hizi zingine ambao mimi nilikuwa natumia mwanzo. Hii 1105 mapato ni juu, nilipata ambao pima na ile zingine, hii tumepata zaidi. Na kugrow na grow haraka, anakuja juu haraka, hata kufunika nafunika mtoto mzuri, mvua hawezi haribu ndani. Mahindi yenyewe ni very sweet. Kwa 1101 nilipanda nusu ya eka, nilipata 6 hivi, kwa hiyo half an eka. Na hii zingine tunapatanga gunia 3 ama 4. Sasa hii 1105 iko zaidi kwa gunia 2. Nilipanda siku moja, nikapalilia, niliweka mbolea kama kawaida, palia ya kwanza nikapalia ya pili. Lakini nikiangalia hii shamba yangu naona kama 5142 inafanya vizuri kuliko ingine. Sasa vile mkubwa alikuwa anasema ati hii mbegu ukitoa unaweza rudia, naweza sema ni ukweli. Hata mimi nimesharudia nikapata tu mazao vizuri.
Kazi yangu ni ya ukulima, nalima mahindi, nalima miwa na maharagwe. Hii mbegu nilipata kwa rafiki yangu, ndiye alinipea hiyo mbegu, hata hakuniuzia. Kaniambia enda jaribu hiyo mbegu uone vile itafanya. Na nikaikubali, nikakuja nikaweka. Kulingana na vile imeendelea, nimeona ni mbegu mzuri. Kwa zaidi ni kwa sababu kumekuwa na kiangazi, lakini imestahimili hiyo kiangazi na imeendelea vizuri. Ile mahindi nimeweza kupanda kwa miaka 2, nimepanda 513. Na hiyo 513 nimejaribu tu kiasi, lakini vile nimepanda hii imenipendeza na imenifurahisha, ni kwa sababu naona inaweza weka vizuri. Vile niliweka mbolea, nilitumia mbolea hii ya ng'ombe, si kuweka DAP, na nikaona inafanya vizuri, inaisaidia kukua haraka. Tena hata haijachukua muda mrefu, imechukua tu muda mfupi na nikaona inaendelea tu vizuri. Kwa niaba ya wakulima ninashukuru hiyo kampuni kwa sababu kwanza mimi wamenisaidia, na mkiendelea kupanuka mtasaidia wakulima wengi na watafaidika. na waone mazuri yenye mimi mwenyewe nimeweza kuona pamoja na hizo magroups.
It is my honor and privilege to congratulate Aatf on your 20th anniversary. You've come a long way, and you are actually assisting Africa to get to the promised land, to get to a point where there is food security and no child goes to bed hungry.
Happy birthday, Aatf. I would like for us to look at biotechnology boldly, to be proud of the far that we've come, because it's taken so many years for us to come to where we are, and just having so many successes with our PBR cowpea project being commercialized and all the other projects that we are still working on. It's a very, very proud moment for us, and I wish us well going forward.
And for all these efforts, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Aatf for all the work that he has done over this 20-year period. Aatf, and when I say Aatf, I'm talking about all the past directors, the present directors, and the past and present staff members, because we owe them this the success that we're seeing now. So a very, very big congratulations to you all. And obviously, as I normally say, it's not more about saying thanks, but it's more about encouraging Aatf to pursue the great work that it has started beyond 20 years, and obviously in the many more years to come. Congratulations.